to be honest, I look at the X-Men as if they are modern mythological heroes. So many of the stories really are very similar to myths, and they've been told over and over again throughout history. And we know humans love stories. We love storytellers. So the stories are universal, and so I think a lot of people can relate to them. They can relate to different characters. And each one of our characters, you know, we have our strengths, but we also have what you would call an Achilles heel. We have our vulnerability. And for Rogue, my strength is also my vulnerability, because I can touch people and drain them of all their life force, take it upon myself and become stronger. But it means I can never be in love. I can never touch. I can never be intimate with somebody. And so that is a tragedy. I want to see it. I haven't seen either one of the episodes yet. I'm dying to see the beautiful, beautiful art that our team has come up with. The writing is phenomenal, and the art is just beyond this world. And I love how they use images of the comic books too, you know, famous images from the comic books, and you can see that in the show. So I can't wait to see it all.
I feel like what X-Men is about, you know, is all the adversity and things we have to go through and what society's going through. It always, unfortunately, is relevant to what we're dealing with in politics and our societal issues. So I feel like X-Men's always relevant to what we're dealing with as human beings. So the end of season 1, or I guess the middle of season 1, end of my character, is the name is Gambit. Remember it. Like, getting to say that is so wild to me, because as a kid, you know, that's the line. He would just shout that and then, you know, do a pirouette across the screen. So getting to now embody that and say that is incredibly surreal. Seeing things that have been hinted at. I would like to see those things. I've been quiet for a very long time.
I think that the thing about the X-Men that's appealing now, that has always been what made the X-Men special, is that the X-Men speaks to, for, and of the people who were othered always. And those groups are going to shift and change over time, but there is always somebody who deserves to be heard and needs to be seen, and the X-Men has always spoken for those voices and continues to do it. And I think it's one of the reasons that it is so meaningful, and I'm super proud to be a part of it.
As Rachel was saying, one of the things that has been most apparent is when people come at events or at things, the number of people who come up and say, hey, for whatever reason, you know, I did not have a relationship with this member of my family, et cetera, but we sat down to watch this, and we were actually able to have a conversation that we couldn't have about what it actually was about, because it felt too personal. So sort of similar to the way that, you know, Star Trek enabled people to have, well, we're talking about alien life forms. It's not, you know, me versus you. This has enabled people to have those similar conversations with friends and family that they had had difficulty with. And so that, plus the entertainment and the big muscles and tight costumes, makes it, you know, something that helps. What I'm excited about is being able to actually enjoy it as just a viewer, because they don't tell me anything. I get no information beyond what I absolutely need, because for some reason nobody trusts me.
I'm really excited because there will be 4 people who will enjoy an inside joke in one of these episodes as much as I do, and I can't wait for those 4 people to all catch it so we can giggle about it on the internet together. And it's a love triangle adjacent to a love triangle adjacent to real life, and it's for 4 people. But we are going to have the best time.
I mean, just from a purely visual standpoint, the animation is so stellar. The way that they bring the stories together is so well woven from the comic. If you know the comics, if you know the movies, if you know the animated stuff, you're satisfied no matter who you are, what level of fandom you're at. But for me, and I think a lot of people, it's the connection to individual characters that you may or may not even realize when you're watching it. I know that as a kid when watching it, I'm sure there were themes and characters that I attached to, but I didn't really understand it until I grew up and got to learn more about myself. But what's neat is people have a connection to a lot of different elements of a lot of different characters from a lot of levels, so kids can understand it, adults can understand it. And I think that there's such a unique way that X-Men bridges so many themes and so many topics that are consistently relevant to a lot of different people, in a way that makes everyone feel included and seen. I think that's a big one, is people feel seen when they watch this show. I think just being part of it, because when I initially got the role of Bishop, I didn't understand the lengths to which I would go to be part of the show. I thought, oh, well, I'll be in it for like an episode and a half and I'll be done, because Bishop in the original show was featured, but not like a huge central point to the team. But because he's now more of a part of the unit, I felt so excited to be like in it and going on the adventures and having more of a say in what was going to go on and trying to be the person that kind of holds different parts of the team together at times. There's just a cool new responsibility with him. It's great. The stories that they're telling are fun, they're important, they're engaging, they're exciting, and they're for everybody. So, that's what I got.
There's the action, there's the super colorful characters with all their different abilities. There's a lot of like blingy, like very exciting things. But also at the core of it, this is a show that's about outcasts and is about people that are desperately trying to find their place in the world and still fighting for the people that oppress them, which is still very present and is still very of our time. So I think it is a very timeless tale with lots of bells and whistles and fun explosions too. I mean, this season has been particularly wonderful in the sense that Morph really got a standalone episode with Wolverine, and I think was able to step out from being Wolverine's second banana and really got to, and also not hiding behind humor, and really got to stand out as like, look, I don't like the way you're behaving and I'm going to tell you so seriously. So I think that adds a wonderful, very human dimension to our mutant, and I'm really excited to see where it goes from here.
I think it just resonates with audiences across the entire spectrum. Knowing, like, in 1992, I was a teen, and I remember hating my own character, but like being able to come back and play this guy is like just a wild ride. But it resonates, I think, because there's so many stories that connect to the human condition. So I love it.
I agree. I mean, he said it in a beautiful way, and I think also because, the characters are so fun. There's a lot of action. I remember me being a little younger than a teen when it came out. I just loved like how cool the characters were and like how much action it had, and I feel like that also is appealing for the young audiences today. I think like overall, since I've been very lucky to be part of this since season 1 of '97, and I will never forget the first time walking to the El Capitan here in Los Angeles for the first 2 episodes, I think it was, and I had never been part of a Comic-Con or anything at all, and I saw that line of cosplayers and then having all the fans inside of a theater like this and like everybody cheering and going so nuts for the scenes and for the characters. Like there was nothing like it, and I continue to have these experiences and they're priceless.
Well, that's a tough one. That's a really good answer. I think like as far as the show is concerned, that big reveal at that last episode 7, I think is probably like this huge sort of oh my god moment. So, but as far as like overall, like the connection, I think that the cast shares and what we're sort of like moving towards in the next sort of installments is so exciting. I can't wait for fans to see what's going to happen. It's pretty cool.
Certainly being a 90s kid, just seeing them back, it's so cool to see something so integral to my childhood, our childhood, come back in as close to a fashion as it could be from them now. That's so cool. I feel the same way about every episode of like truly what's going to happen, because it's one of the most exciting things, even though you're involved, like I don't know who's going to show up, what's going to happen. It's as much fun being an audience member as being part of it, truly. Honestly, I've been very fortunate just to get to know the cast. It's always cool to see them. I'm so grateful to call them like acquaintances, friends, what have you. It's amazing working with them.
Fans love justice, and X-Men pursue justice. And I think we're good guys, and even though sometimes perceived not such, I think we will continue to save the world for as long as the world needs saving. To share the evening with all the people who've been watching us all these years, it's a funny world, because usually we do the voice, and I've been doing this since the beginning. And you do it, and it goes out in the world, but you never get a chance to hang with the people who really love it. And I got so many people. We all do. We get people who send us cards and autographs, and tonight we're going to hang with everyone. Colossus I think Colossus is like every man, because I like to think that we're all pretty composed and nice, normal people, and caring and empathetic, because Colossus is very empathetic, but everybody's got a trigger point. Everybody's got that red line that gets crossed. And when Colossus's line gets crossed, looking forward to Colossus stepping out.
Well, the X-Men, their story never sort of goes away, right? It's when did it debut? In the 60s, and then listen, some of the stuff that was happening then very much carries on generation to generation. I also think that there's like a nostalgia factor, like the original animated series was on in the 90s, and the viewers then are now, parents by and large, and are sort of passing on to their children the stories that they grew up on, the things that were formative to them. So listen, I just think it carries on. The themes are universal, and also it's really cool. It's really well done. And who doesn't want to see their favorite characters, like, you know, I don't know, breathe new life into all their stories that they loved as kids consuming the comics.
I'd been reading Marvel since the 70s. I picked up a Fantastic Four because I loved The Thing, and it spoke to me as a child. And then that world of imagination, and then being a New Yorker, and that it took place in New York, and you just go through everything, and that the X-Men were originally in Westchester, and they're outcasts, but everyone is accepted in their community. And just vibrant characters. I did take a lot to the villains, which it's not the best, it's not the healthiest, but Marvel just writes well. And, you know, when I was reading John Byrne, Sal Buscema, Jim Lee, all these great artists and writers told stories that just took me away, and I loved it. The one thing I got to do, because I'm in episode 5 as Sabretooth and Omega Red, who's big evil Russian. So I got to fight myself, and that was pretty cool. And then fight Wolverine, and you know, you're just going, these are things that you thought you'd never do as a child, and then we get to live in this world of yes. And that's what I think X-Men is. It's not just imagination, but it's a world of yes.
I mean, the X-Men, unfortunately, are as relevant as they've ever been. Anybody who knows anyone who knows what it feels like to be an outsider in society and to find a group of people who welcome you and to create a family with those people and to fight for something greater than yourself, I mean, that's so universal. There's so many people who can connect to that message. I'm actually a new addition to the cast as of this season, season 2, and I grew up reading Generation X, the comic book by Scott Lobdell and Chris Bichello that featured Emma Frost as a teacher at the academy with Jubilee and other young students. And so Emma's voice and her demeanor has been in my head for 30 years. So when I found out that I would be playing her this season onward, it was like a childhood dream come true. Oh, I am looking forward to seeing how they're going to land this plane. There's so many amazing things going on in this season, and I can't wait to see how it all comes together. And I can't wait to see if we get any hints as to what might be coming in future seasons. All of us have wants. Not all of us can afford them. Or something. I'm paraphrasing. I apologize for the purists out there. I'm also a big fan of Emma's woof to Cable earlier this season.
Wherever timely, how far we want to go back, right? The roster always increases with characters, and I feel like because the themes that X-Men is based in, prejudice being a primary one of them, found family, etc., right? With those real themes and with a growing number of roster characters that we get, there's someone in the characters to find yourself in, and I believe that that's just relatable for everyone. Everyone can find themselves in the X-Men, find their story, find their found family, their journey, etc. So I think that's why it works.
You started it was 30 years on with the comics, and I think it's Jack Kirby and Stan Lee figured out the perfect setup. A group of really cool people who are reasonably scary to other people and who just want to get along and make it better.
They were just born this way. This is just how they came out and who they are. And I think anyone who goes through adolescence or puberty, we all know what that means on our own bodies. Change. It's like, oh, what's going on? And then to have it play out in that canvas of mutation and giant power, it's brilliant. We hope that it's both satisfying and curiosity arousing. Is that the word for season 3? And hopefully seasons beyond that. Come on, let's go, folks. Let's go.
First season really just laid out that this was a continuation of the old series and made the transition, which took 8 or 10 episodes. Beautifully done.
Mm-hmm.
And then this season, they really got into the apocalypse story and are playing that all the way out to the end. So next season, I think it's going to be more varied. You're going to get to spend a little more time with some of the characters off to the side, not in such a...
Was that one word, dear?
Yes, that was a lot of work, yeah.
Here's one word. Consequences. What we've seen building up from season 1 to season 2 with Apocalypse, season 3.
They'll kick in.
Consequences.
I think the X-Men it's about human relationships. It's about people. It's about, the struggles that actually every single person has living in this world and wanting very human things, even though they're mutants. And being mutants and having to deal with society and they have to fight for everything that they desire. Planning the show, every day we find an idea, we get obsessed with and are so excited to see on screen. But luckily there's decades worth of comic books to pull from. So most of the time we're just, thinking about what inspired us as fans when we read it and trying to bring it to the screen. Season 3 brings to life a lot of characters that we haven't seen since the original series. We showed a little bit of the season at Comic-Con, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.